Alright, now I'm going to show bounce testing. Bounce testing is one of the more important things because it's really what gives you your margin of safety, especially when you get tricky aid placements. If you thoroughly bounce test a placement before standing on it, then you're not only going to be more safe because you're going to know that it's a good piece, you're also mentally going to be a lot more at ease and be able to move quicker, more efficiently, and be more confident to stand higher, to reach higher for the next placement. And of course, reaching high is kind of the name of the game in aid climbing because it's what lets you move more efficiently. So there's two kinds of bounce testing. The first kind is where you're bounce testing on your feet, and what you do is you just step into the aider. I then point my toe down just a little bit. What this does is gives me a little bit extra leverage. And the bounce testing goes in 3 stages. The first one is where you shift your weight onto the piece and bounce on it just a tiny bit while still kind of staying with your center of with your weight on your last piece. You're just making sure that the piece isn't terrible and it doesn't just blow right away. You then start bouncing. It's very important that you look down. If you look up and the piece pulls, there's a very good chance it's going to hit you right in the face. So what you do is you look down, you bounce on it, you then can look at it, make sure it hasn't shifted and gotten weird. Now here's the important part. What I just did there, this isn't really a bounce test. That gives you knowledge that the piece isn't totally bad, but it doesn't give you knowledge that that piece is really bomber and that it's going to hold a short fall. What you then need to do is give it a real bounce test, which looks more like this. And you're really jumping up and down, you're almost trying to pull the piece out. Because if you give it just this super violent test, that's when you know it's good and when you can confidently move up onto the next piece. Now that's bounce testing on your feet. You can also bounce test on the daisy chain. And here what you do is you take your Fifi or your Beaner and you clip in, and then you just, with your foot out of the aider, you can then sit on the daisy chain and bounce like this. You do the same thing where you get it kind of just a little light test, make sure it's not going to pull out, bounce a little harder, look to make sure it's not moving, and then kind of give it a really hard bounce. That looks like. Once you do that, again, you know it's good. Now, the downside to doing the daisy bounce test is it's going to put a lot more wear both on your daisy chain here and, more importantly, up here at the clip-in point. So, in general, I think you want to try to bounce test on your feet in the aiders. Another benefit to bounce testing on the daisy chain is that it allows you to keep your center of gravity and your weight right over the last piece. So especially when it gets to like hard aid, or you really think that the piece might pull, when you're like this and the piece blows, you're like ready instantly to fall back on your last piece. When you're on your feet in your aiders and you're bouncing, and if the piece blows, you're almost certainly going to take a little bit of a fall onto your last piece. Not much, but it just it can feel a little better if you're daisy bounce testing in that situation.